Well, this is some apocalyptic-ish.
We anticipate significant storm surge and intense wind. Please leave now. We anticipate significant.
Well, it's getting real.
Yep, as no one said, 2024 was going to be boring, and I'm here for the ride in Florida myself, as we have a lot of very important things to talk about as the storm clouds are gathering. And the big one is about to hit. All of this as the storm is being politicized more than ever. A lot of people are having some very interesting theories about the government involvement here, as the corporate media really doesn't like you connecting the dots and asking serious questions here that I think are absolutely worth asking, especially with all the incompetence that we had with Hurricane Helene, that of course we probably now will have with Hurricane Milton, which looks like a kind of historic megastorm of grand proportions, as now officially more than 1 million people have been told to evacuate, as it is expected to, of course, have a direct course of collision with Florida. This as today, we also got brand new spanking satellite images from space highlighting the severity and the largeness of this hurricane that is coming here our way, that some people believe was artificially and man-made deliberately for the most amount of severe, devastating impact on predominantly Republican red state areas. Is that true here? Well, that's the theory that a lot of people have here, as of course we'll explain why they have this theory in just a little bit, as people in Mexico got a view of this massive weather system and the larger kind of thunder that comes along with it as well. This, as we are an estimated 30 hours away from Hurricane Milton making landfall in Florida, which will happen on Wednesday night. A lot of people are saying that they expect wind gusts as high as 180 to 200 miles per hour, with what people are saying could be one of the strongest hurricanes ever recorded, as it also has a very tiny 3.8 mile wide eye, as of course residents all over Florida, including my area, are told to, of course, take immediate precaution. And we are. We, of course, have a lot of supplies. The local government here is literally giving out free sandbags. Not really free. I paid for it with my tax dollars. Communistic sandbags they're giving out to the local residences here. And I have to say, Florida is used to a lot of this stuff. So their response, especially with what we saw with Hurricane Helene, was a lot more impressive than, of course, the local government of North Carolina, that a lot of people are accusing of not really doing a good job at all here. Now, the people of North Carolina were kind of blindsided here. Florida, again, is veteran when it comes to these type of apocalyptic kind of scenarios. But will it be able to, of course, respond properly to what some scientists are calling a potential Category 6 hurricane here? This according to the New York Post. Well, that's a question that, of course, we will all wait to find out here in this beautiful, free state of Florida. Another crazy video circulating the internet right now is this one, showing scientists specifically flying through the eye of this Category 5 hurricane that is coming towards Florida.
Found it.
And while some Americans are talking about being there for each other, coordinating rescue efforts, trying to prepare for all of this, others are politicizing this matter, as the corporate media yesterday was all speaking in one tune, criticizing the governor of Florida for allegedly refusing to take a phone call from the vice president of the United States about, quote, hurricane aid. Yes, you heard that correctly. This was a story according to anonymous sources originally here, as even Kamala decided to, of course, take advantage of this situation with everyone's eyes and ears with the concerns of what's happening in Florida, to go after the governor of Florida that, let's be honest here, did a pretty good job when it came to Hurricane Helene and is doing a really good one now. Again, coordinating, organizing a lot of this stuff, especially when you're dealing with like a bureaucratic DMV state, isn't easy. A lot could go wrong. A lot of mistakes could be made. A lot of resources could be allocated to the wrong region. A lot of disasters are just waiting to happen. And overall, from my perspective, even talking to a lot of the local Floridians here, Ron DeSantis is doing a hell of a job. But that, of course, didn't stop Kamala Harris from criticizing him.
You know, moments of crisis, if nothing else, should really be the moment that anyone who calls themselves a leader says they're going to put politics aside and put the people first. People are in desperate need of support right now. And playing political games with this moment in these crisis situations, these are the height of emergency situations, is just utterly irresponsible, and it is selfish. And it is about political gamesmanship instead of doing the job that you took an oath to.
Said the politician grandstanding and using her coverage, her attention to, of course, attack someone else who's the opposite political spectrum as her to, of course, gain political brownie points. That's exactly what she did here. She literally is describing herself. This says the governor of Florida had this to say in response directly to Kamala Harris that was taking shots at the governor of Florida, who is extremely busy today.
And I've been in touch with both FEMA and the president, as well as marshaling all our state agencies and working to support our local communities. And so for Kamala Harris to try to say that my sole focus on the people of Florida is somehow selfish is delusional. She has no role in this. In fact, she's been vice president for 3.5 years. I've dealt with a number of storms under this administration. She has never contributed anything to any of these efforts. And so what I think is selfish is her trying to blunder into this. No. And here's the thing. She has no role. No, she has no role in this process. I'm in contact with the President of the United States. I'm in contact with FEMA director. I'm obviously managing all our state agencies. We're supporting all our local government. And I will say this. I've had storms under both President Trump and President Biden, and I've worked well with both of them. She's the first one who's trying to politicize the storm, and she's doing that just because of her campaign. She's trying to get some type of an edge. She knows she's doing poorly, and so she's playing these political games. I don't have time for political games. I've got people whose lives are on the line. I've got people whose homes and their possessions are on the line, and we are focused 100% on that mission. I'm not worried about playing her political games. And so she is being selfish by trying to blunder into this when we're working just fine.
Yeah, a big demolition of Kamala Harris that clearly, from everyone's point of view here, is trying to butt in and make herself relevant when she's taking away time from the actual people that are coordinating and organizing the response effort. This is something that isn't just annoying as a Floridian, but it also just highlights the larger kind of very desperate attention-seeking behavior from people that want political brownie points right now, rather than, actually helping the constituents and the local population. Of course, Ron DeSantis didn't stop there. He had this to say on Fox News today as well, as he says there wasn't even a phone call.
Well, I think she should look in the mirror. We've been on an emergency footing for 2 weeks straight, round the clock, 24/7. We've been working, my office, our Division of Emergency Management, helping people prepare for Hurricane Helene, helping effectuate rescues of people after Hurricane Helene, helping people pick up the pieces of their lives after Helene, and then have to also turn around and prepare for major impacts and maybe even more impacts from Hurricane Milton, be able to have rescue personnel ready to help people, and then, of course, help with the power restoration, all these things to do. So that's been my sole focus. My focus has not been on dealing with Kamala Harris. I saw the news report. I didn't know she tried to contact me. But I'd also say it's not about you, Kamala. Right. It's about the people of Florida. My focus is exactly where it should be. And
Yeah, Kamala, stop trying to, of course, prevent people from actually doing a job. As, of course, her poll numbers are down. The predicted markets do highlight her losing. And when you're that desperate, you do a lot of desperate things for attention as this major PR battle backfired against her very tremendously, in my opinion, as there's residents still suffering from Hurricane Helene that are asking Kamala Harris, where are you? As, of course, she's doing podcasts with some interesting promiscuous women while also giving out your money to Lebanon proudly.
What would your message be to Vice President Kamala Harris and to the White House? What do you have to say to them? I mean, she's spent time on, these shows, podcasts. You haven't seen the response. I know I've been up to Chimney Rock. I've never seen such devastation in my life. It looks like a war zone. I know people lost their life up there as well. What would your message be to her in the White House? Sean would like to know.
Where are you? Where are you? These people have lost their homes, they've lost their businesses, they've lost everything, and they need some support. They need help. And $750 is not much help.
A humbling, important message that I think should go out there to the general public, just highlighting the larger kind of incompetencies from the federal government while people are still suffering from Hurricane Helene. This, as we also have other reports coming in of thousands being trapped in a Florida hurricane hell trafficscape as roads are being clogged. There's some reports of gas running out at some gas stations, and government officials are literally warning people to flee or die. And seeing these particular images, seeing these larger traffic jams, seeing what's happening in war zones like Costco. I was there a few days ago, preemptively, just to stock up on some supplies. Wow. Absolutely crazy, chaotic scenes unfolding here in local stores. Here's another picture of our acclaimed Florida watering hole, Wawa, that also reported being out of gas at some locations. And these photos, these images are definitely something, as a lot of this kind of should be reminding people that the government is not there to help or protect you, and that your responsibility of being safe during all of this is on you. And I think this is why a lot of people need this kind of larger wake-up call and reality check more than ever. And if you agree, share this video. We still got a lot of things to talk about when it comes to personal theories, belief systems, government incompetence. But before getting into all of that, don't forget to sign up right now to lookunfiltered.com. Click the link down in the description below. Signing up allows us to continue this independent media operation, as of course we do a lot of exclusive behind the scenes videos. I'm going to do another video very soon, specifically highlighting how I am prepping, how people should prep their bug out bags. I already done a lot of this stuff for exclusive members that get these videos that are only made for them. But also, just a reminder, if you're a member already, we have the Apocalypse Survival Masterclass available to you as well, that you could download with one click of a button. You could download it and, of course, have it available even if communication systems go down. And there we kind of tell you how to start fires, how to filter your own water, how to do everything if you're out in the woods by yourself with just a stick and a knife. How do you survive? We teach you that plus a lot more, all specifically through lookunfiltered.com, a quasi-secret, not-so-secret society where we teach people how to be dependent on themselves and how to become the best, strongest versions of themselves in this modern-day world filled with a lot of lunacy and craziness. Last night, we had U.S. General Michael Flynn on, an amazing individual, for a full 2-hour conversation that, by the way, members of lookunfiltered.com got the ability to talk to and call into and be a part of the show with him just by simply signing up to lookunfiltered.com. I don't have a lot of producers or people behind the scenes. You guys, as members, are my people behind the scenes, as we also do nature hikes, meetups, you name it. We do it all for members of lookunfiltered.com. So if you haven't signed up yet, what are you doing? Sign up right now. Your support, trust me, because I just got absolutely blindsided and obliterated by the federal government a few days ago. Your support needed more than ever to continue these particular broadcasts. And as a proud Florida man, we appreciate all of your support and all of the attention and all of the care and consideration from a lot of you that are reaching out and asking me if we're safe here. Also, before getting into all of that, just a couple tips just to get into this that, of course, we're going to be expanding on later on LukeUnfiltered.com with, is that you should absolutely have a bunch of batteries, power banks, and make sure that all of your electronic gear is charged up before this hurricane hits. And when it does, and there's connectivity issues and larger energy infrastructure issues that usually do happen during these events, you should absolutely turn off your event, except for when you really need it. You update your voicemail every 3 to 6 hours, letting your family, letting your friends know that you are okay, letting them know when the next update will happen. Your friends and family could call in. They will not be wasting your phone battery for when you potentially might really need it. As other people like Laura Loomer are telling people to fill up their bathtubs with hot water and not collard greens. As of course, there usually is a lot of utilities that are usually shut off during these situations, and having extra water that you could use, whether it's to, of course, bathe yourself, to get rid of your crap, or to hopefully filter out and drink. You don't want to be drinking the government tap water filled with fluoride. That's a neurotoxin and, of course, lowers your IQ and calcifies your pineal gland. Don't do that. Friends, don't let friends drink fluoridated water. But having extra water is also something incredibly important here during these key moments and times here. So if you're in Florida, make sure all your batteries are charged up. Make sure you have a bunch of water, and make sure you stay away from The View and the corporate media, as Kamala Harris now, in her desperate seeking attention moments, is blaming, can you guess who? Can you guess who she's blaming on all of this? The former president of the United States, Donald J. Trump, her political opponent, very conveniently going on The View and saying this.
Kamala, and I'm calling you Kamala because for all of those who are mispronouncing it, I want you all to know how to say it.
Oh, geez, really? That's how we're going to start all this? It's already unbearable. It's already a cringe fest. Really?
But let's talk about something you would do different from Donald Trump. Right now, there is a monster storm barreling towards my state of Florida, a place that's still reeling from Hurricane Helene. Trump is lying, claiming that the Biden administration is intentionally withholding aid from the areas where Republicans live, and that FEMA funds are being redirected to migrants. Ironically, that is something he did in 2019. What do you think the effect of these lies are, and why is he doing this?
Well, it's profound, and it is the height of irresponsibility and, frankly, callousness. So lives are literally at stake right now. I traveled to Georgia and to North Carolina after Hurricane Helene.
You could smell the disingenuousness. You could see the fake kind of micro expressions that she artificially puts on her face in order to convey this larger message, as the corporate prostitute there just issued the lines that were, let's be honest here, probably given to her by the Biden-Kamala administration. Let's continue on with this utter train wreck.
In Georgia, I met a woman who, just days earlier, her husband was killed in their home by a fallen tree. Days later, I met with her and her daughter. You can imagine the pain, the shock that they are still in about what they experienced, what they witnessed. I mean, we're talking about real human beings and their lives, and them losing everything. Everything. This woman lost her husband, her child lost her father. People are losing their home with no hope of ever being able to reconstruct or return. And the idea that somebody would be playing political games for the sake of himself, but this is so consistent about Donald Trump. He puts himself before the needs of others. I fear that he really lacks empathy on a very basic level, to care about the suffering of other people and then understand the role of a leader is not to beat people down, it's to lift people up.
Absolutely.
Especially in a time of crisis.
cue applause line, as of course all these other people, yeah, yeah, absolutely, no, don't question this current paradox, as of course the White House spokesperson has been having other issues that she's dealing with here, as a lot of people are scrutinizing the government's response here, asking them serious question that Karine Jean-Pierre isn't really liking. I don't think she likes this AI video of herself as well that was made by the incredible DeFranzer Memes.
Now, moving on to the hurricane, Hurricane Helene. President Biden and Vice President Harris continue to use every tool available to help communities devastated by Hurricane Helene.
Beetlejuice, no, not Beetlejuice. Yeah, and we're living in an utter chaotic, insane society, as there are a lot of very serious questions about the government's response here, about their kind of aid, about their participation with all of this. There's a lot of people pointing fingers at them. There's a watchdog group that also just discovered how there's $7 billion in untapped FEMA funds, despite the head of the Department of Homeland Security reporting that none were available. So clearly there are some larger lies here at stake here, as we keep hearing about the larger incompetency of government, like this action of the government shipping over 3 pallets of electronic chainsaws to a community that, guess what, doesn't have power. You heard that correctly. The government sent 3 pallets of electric chainsaws to a place that does not have electricity, you know, because those gas chainsaws are bad for the environment. And these electric ones are really great, as we keep getting new helicopter videos showing specifically helicopters that are violating volunteer supply zones with their attempted landings, as these videos are more numerous than I could even mention here. Here's just another one. We played one yesterday, but this is yet another one. Yeah, what an utter freaking disaster. And what did you expect? What did you expect from the federal government here? As there are a lot of people taking to the internet right now to specifically talk about how it's not just kind of incompetence and malice here, but an absolute deliberate action that could potentially be unfolding here, with the larger possibility of weather modification weapons that could potentially be used here. Now, are they? Again, it's important to note here, we don't have any kind of empirical proof that they are. We do have a lot of people saying it might be happening, since of course it is very convenient to the state that doesn't like a lot of the people who live in Florida and a lot of these other right-wing areas, that they would be specifically targeted and attacked, since the government specifically targets and attacks them in many different ways. Is it a stretch? Yeah, but is it that big of a stretch? I'll be honest, especially if you've been kind of paying attention to what's been going on here, it's not that big of a stretch. As a lot of people are saying that this was geoengineered and a weapon of war that has to do with, quote, the largest lithium deposit in the country, that of course other big financial institutions in the United States now will get the ability to, of course, mine. There are also a lot of patents, and we've been talking about this for about 20 years, patents specifically designated to control hurricanes and the weather. Those patents, of course, do agree and are official record. Now, are those patents implemented here? Again, we don't know. But I think this type of conversation is important to have in order to find out what is really true and what is really not. A lot of people are saying this is some kind of manipulated HARP weapon, since this storm kind of surged and became very powerful in just a matter of hours, that its strength quadrupled unnaturally, quote, way too fast, according to some people. Other people are saying that there's a possibility of cloud seeding here, which is real. Look up Operation Popeye. And the corporate media did previously talk about this, specifically not just using cloud seeding, but also lasers when it came to affecting the climate in a different way. Now, are they doing this time? Again, no kind of empirical proof or evidence. But here's a clip from CBS News just a few months ago, specifically describing these type of scenarios where these scientific experiments are more stranger than fiction.
Scientists and researchers are looking at how to change the weather on purpose. That's right. Lasers now could one day manipulate rain and lightning. CBS This Morning contributor Michio Kaku is a physics professor at City College of New York. Professor, nice to see you. Extraordinary seeing Al Gore and Bill Clinton there together with Charlie, wasn't it?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, they did not get into this discussion,
no.
though. But it is fascinating. I mean, lasers, really, to change the weather?
That's right. Well, as Mark Twain once famously said, everyone complains about the weather, but no one ever does anything about it. Well, instead of doing a rain dance, we physicists are firing trillion-watt lasers into the sky to actually precipitate rain clouds and actually bring down lightning bolts. This is potentially a game changer.
But this is experimental.
It's experimental. However, in the laboratory so far it works. When you have water vapor and you have dust particles or ice crystals, you can precipitate rain. It condenses around the seeds. These seeds can also be created by laser beams. By firing trillion-watt lasers, you rip apart the electrons, creating what are called ions, and these ions act like seeds, like dust particles, bringing down rain and even lightning.
Go ahead.
Well, this fascinates me in part because, too, I remember reading the stories that China had used this during the Olympics, that the USSR had used this after Chernobyl to create rain clouds. I mean, did those really work then? We have some of these capabilities now?
Inconclusive. Even in the 60s, the CIA used this to bring down monsoons during the Vietnam War, to wash out the Viet Cong. Governments have been playing with this thing.
Alleged to.
Alleged to, right.
Yeah.
Now, we realize that for decades now, these governments have been alleged to have experimented with weather control, but nothing conclusive. This time we're bringing in the laws of physics rather than simply waving our hands and uttering mumbo-jumbo. We're actually using trillion-watt lasers now. And in the laboratory, sure enough, they precipitate rain out of water vapor. Sure enough, you can actually bring down electricity down the beam.
So what does it mean for drought areas that need to have rain for crops? And if they don't have them, there's the consequences of famine.
Well, the bad news is if it's a clear blue sky, it's not going to do anything at all because it only takes water vapor that's already in the air and condenses it. However, for floods, for agriculture, farmers, for people planning wedding parties, football games, you name it, outdoor events and agriculture and flooding and even hurricanes, all of them could be subject to weather modification.
Incredibly interesting, Professor Michio Kaku. Thank you so much.
Interesting, to say the least, especially with all the latest events unfolding right now in the Gulf of Mexico with this very kind of unique situation with the path of the hurricane, the veracity of it, and the timing of all of this, as a lot of people are saying that these types of hurricanes could be the larger kind of October surprise that a lot of us are now left to deal with. This as people are also bringing up this older clip from Fox News surrounding a previous hurricane that I think is worth watching now.
Up to Jacksonville, this moves 20 miles to the west, and you and everyone you know are dead. All of you. Because you can't survive it. It's not possible unless you're very, very lucky. And your kids die too. All the way.
Yes. A very calming message from previous years from, of course, Fox News. That's not sensationalistic at all. As, again, I have mixed feelings from all of this, especially understanding previous hurricanes, especially understanding the long kind of history that Florida usually has to deal with here. In one aspect, I don't like a lot of the kind of fear-mongering sensationalism. In another aspect, people make the argument that people need this in order to, of course, heed these warnings and to, of course, not be obliterated and to, of course, not lose their lives. Where do you stand on this particular issue? Let me know down in the comment section below. Share this video. We returned 6 p.m. Eastern later on today, and we should be returning tomorrow during the peak of this hurricane live as well. So stay tuned for that. We're going to be doing live coverage here on the ground in Florida all on youtube.com/wearechange. Sign up to LukeUnfiltered.com. If you want to do that, I wouldn't be here. LukeUnfiltered.com. Seriously, I need your help more than ever. It's just like 20 cents a day. Sign up right now. Seriously, please. And I will see you there after this particular broadcast. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you guys doing that. And this is why I love you guys. Stay tuned for more here on youtube.com/wearechange.